All right, Jim, we have a few Chris Jericho-themed questions that have been sent in.
Oh, boy.
This one, sent to CornyDriveThru at gmail.com, is from Jesse in Memphis. On a recent episode of Talk is Jericho, Chris Jericho was asked about the decision to bring Colt Cabana back and if it had anything to do with CM Punk. His response was, and this is in quotes, "We wanted to bring Colt back onto the show, reintroduce him. He had a pretty rough year as well. He's a former Ring of Honor champion. Always enjoyed his work, a very solid worker, and it was fun to have him back, and that's the reason why he came back, solely. Was just because we wanted to have him on the show and reintroduce him. He hadn't been on TV in a while." End quote.
And he hadn't been on TV again.
Especially in recent years, Jericho has proven himself to be full of shit on numerous occasions, but does he really expect us to believe that this was the sole reason they chose Cabana out of all the former Ring of Honor talent that was available to them? I would like to hear Jim's thoughts on Jericho and his comments. Is there any way possible that after 30 years in the business, Chris Jericho had no clue fans would have this reaction?
No, there's not. Because he knew what the reaction was going to be, because that's why they did it. Even Uncle Dave came out and said it. Well, it's obvious what happened here. As soon as they thought they could get away with it, they got in Tony's ear and said, oh, and it fit the MO that Jericho was working. Oh, yeah, he's a former Ring of Honor champion of some description, the TV title or whatever. So they could actually convince Tony, who is obviously susceptible to believing the lies of his friends. Oh, yeah, it fits the angle. And they brought him back specifically to give Punk the finger, which we talked about at the time. Why would you do that to a guy that is known to not take public disrespect well and has a real good case for a lawsuit? Why you want to poke the bear? And the answer is because it's not their money. It's Tony Khan's money. And they couldn't resist. Twinkle Toes, old Kenny Olivier, went and did an interview with some big website and said, oh, we just need to move on past this. It's not Punk versus the Elite. We need to think about the fans. And then the next Wednesday night on TV, he and his two little buckaroos are doing things to mock the fight. He's biting the other guy's arm, and they're falling trying to do the buckshot lariat. They say one thing, and the apologists and the delusional people who believe them lap it up, and then they do the exact opposite, and then say, oh, no, it's just, we're just working or whatever. But no, and that's another. How many weeks of TV did Jericho get to defend the Ring of Honor world title on? It had to be 6-8 weeks in a row, right? Okay. Does anybody think it's coincidental or just amazing how this worked out? That Chris Jericho got to defend the title against and beat, in the middle of the ring, a different former champion of some description every week on TV for 6 or 8 weeks on national cable television on TBS with, at least by their standards, a lot of people watching, anywhere from 750 to 900,000, give or take the week. But when he does including, didn't he already beat Claudio on television? Beat him somewhere.
He won the title from Claudio.
There you go. But when it comes time to drop it, oh, I'll be happy to drop that title to Claudio on a fucking Ring of Honor secondary pay-per-view that may not be seen by 75,000 people, much less 750,000, and at 3 o'clock in the afternoon on a Saturday where, I mean, that's, the news dump is the weekend where anytime the government has something they don't think people will take to, or anytime a big business has something people don't think they want to take, they'll dump it out on Friday after all the news outlets close down, see if they can slip it by. It's the same thing. He got 8 weeks of self-ego stroking wins on television, including a chance to say fuck you to CM Punk, who he's been undermining behind the scenes constantly. And then he drops it where the fewest people will see it. And then I bet you there will be no rematch on TV where he puts Claudio over in front of God and everybody. What do you think?
I think Chris Jericho is the master manipulator of AEW since AEW's existence. Since its very beginning, Chris Jericho has outplayed everyone. And again, if you're a Chris Jericho fan, what I'm saying isn't a negative thing. He's outplayed everyone. He's got Tony wrapped around his finger. You should hear about this new contract he's got. It's the most ridiculous thing in wrestling history that you only get if you have the owner wrapped around your finger.
Yeah, remember when they announced it was going to be for 10 years? Well, what's Chris going to be doing in the ring when he's 62 years old?
Getting $9 million is what he'll be doing. But Chris Jericho's work has been horrible. And Tony lets him do everything he wants. And he's let him kill too many shows. He's let him kill too many programs. Eddie Kingston was one of the hottest things in the company. And then he wasn't. MJF, you want to talk about, you always say he's a generational talent. He overcame a year of Jericho. A year of the worst booking ever.
Which he then turned around and talked about afterwards. Yeah, I got through that when he was listing all of his grievances about how everybody had taken his spotlight away.
That's the thing I don't get. At this point in time, just admit it. Yeah, I didn't like Punk. And me and Tony thought the Cabana thing would be a good idea. I was talking to Tony. We decided to do it. I don't like Punk. That's all you got to say instead of, oh, no, it's just he hasn't been on TV and he had a rough year and no one was clamoring for him. I mean, just keep going if you're going to list the reasons why he was on that show all of a sudden.
Well, and then what's been preventing him from being on the show since then? Because it wouldn't be funny anymore to them.